Direct drive wheelbases are becoming more affordable every day. The Cammus Bundle DDWB 15mm I have here is only $499 at the time of making this video. The full bundle in this review is $659 right now. This means it competes with entry-level Fanatec and Moser bases on price, but power-wise, it's more of a high-end offering. Cammus sent me their 15mm base free of charge. I then went out to buy both the rig and the pedals so I'd be able to make this video. With this being my most expensive to make video ever, I won't be going easy on this base. Cammus also sent their GT1 wheel to try out with the base, and try out the base I did. I had a week off of work for this and I was putting in laps almost non-stop. I have about 30 hours on this base now, most of those hours in ACC driving the Ferrari 296. The first thing you'll notice about both wheel and base is that they're pretty big. The wheel is a 32.5cm diameter leather one. It has a little centering for you drifters and rally drivers out there. The nice thing here is that the wheel hub is sandwiched between the wheel and the quick release hub. You can swap the wheel for any other steering wheel which clears that hub. I love that upgrade or side grade ability, especially with the stock wheel being this big. While the finish is pretty nice, I also find the rim a little bit too thick and I have large hands. I also got sore thumbs from the stitching being a little bit too rough, but this got better with use. The rim is plenty stiff, no complaints here, and it's got some dimples in the back to help with grip and comfort. Moving to the hub, it's got a lot of buttons, dials and toggles. These even light up when pressed, but there aren't any stickers included, so you can't actually remember what they do. While the quantity of buttons is nice, the quality sadly isn't. The buttons are super mushy, like pushing on a wet sponge. The toggles are pretty tactile though, and the dials are light but accurate, and I never accidentally turned one too much or too little. You can also press the dials for even more button presses. The problem though is that you can't actually reach any of the buttons with this rim being this big. The GTS wheel option may be better for this reason alone. On the back of the wheel hub are two magnetic shifter pedals, and while loud, these do offer great tactility. They're fast, accurate and adjustable, so they work with different rim sizes. Given that the hub and rim is only $199 right now, I can't really complain about anything, although I would love a clutch on the wheel myself. Maybe I'll look into a steering wheel upgrade later on. The wheel hub gets its power through the quick release and connects to the base wirelessly. I had zero problems with all of this during testing, even disconnecting and reconnecting the wheel to the base when the base was already powered on didn't create any problems at all. The same goes for the quick release. It's solid, there's no play in there at all, and the spring is perhaps a little too stiff and the small gray button isn't easy to reach, but this is a $39 quick release hub, so no complaints there either. This brings us to the base, the big heavy base. You're going to want a pretty sturdy rig to mount this thing, and talking about mounting, Cammus will sell you an adapter to take its 92 by 95mm mounting holes to a Fanatec spacing. They also have aluminum extrusion rig adapters and plates, but why isn't the stock base already compatible with some mainstream bolt patterns? Cammus is pretty new and low volume I think, so I doubt rig companies will adjust their wheel plates anytime soon. The holes are also very close to other bolt patterns, so drilling extra holes is a little tricky. My SimLab GT1 Evo is strong enough for this base, but even after drilling the holes myself, I still couldn't mount the base and maintain the angle adjustability in the wheel plate. The size of the base also means that it'll block more of your monitor, but that's less of a big deal. You'll also need to reserve some room for the massive power brick that's needed to power this base. Talking about power, this base has lots of it. I ended up running it at only 60%. When I first got the base, the feel was horrible, but after some researching and trial and error, I got these settings in the Cammus software and ACC. I also listed them in the description if that's easier for you. Driving low downforce cars, the base is pretty good and delivers detailed information about the surface of the track and how smooth it is. Curbs, rumble strips and grass all feel distinct, and because the base is so powerful and poorly mounted, it makes my whole rig vibrate. It does a pretty good job of translating front wheel grip levels, but even at low power settings, I often feel like the torque is overpowering the detail that I really want. Especially on default settings, the base felt more like it had a big heavy centering spring and a big damper than a servo motor. Now with the settings I just shared, that's still a little bit the case, and driving high downforce vehicles in high speed corners, the torque just seems to load up a lot and I lose sense of how much grip there really is. Pouhon at Spa is one of those corners where I could be understeering like crazy and not have a single clue about what's going on. But then in slow turns I do get great feedback, and perhaps this can be fixed in software or different settings, but I'm reviewing this base with the software and the settings that are available to me. It would be great if Cammus sponsored pros would share their settings on the Cammus side in the manual or even as presets in the control software, which is quite good actually. The feedback when you snap oversteer is sometimes a little violent, but lift off oversteer and the sort of sliding action you do on purpose feels very nice. It's predictable, fast, and you know when or where the limits are. I'm overall very impressed with this base, given the price of it, and the sheer wrist snapping power that it offers. Like the wheel hub, the base also has its own buttons, toggles, and dials, and these are separate inputs from those on the wheel, so they're not clones, which is great. I like how this gives you some extra buttons when driving without the Cammus hub, but once you add the quick release, the buttons are a little bit too far away to actually use when racing. I have mine set to adjust things like force feedback scale and the windscreen wipers instead of frequently used settings like brake balance and traction control. It's better to have them and not use them than needing them and having to buy a separate button box, in my opinion. So overall then, a pretty good experience once I had my settings dialed. Cammus, if you're watching, here's what I'd like to see change. Less loading up of torque in high-speed corners to make it more easy to detect understeer. I'd like stickers so I can label the very many buttons because I can't remember what 70 different buttons do. A mounting pattern that's compatible with popular wheelbases would vastly improve compatibility with what's already on the market. More and better documentation would also help because right now a 2-page manual is a bit of a joke. And pro driver presets to help with initial setup for your customers would be awesome to have. Other than that, this base and especially the bundles offer some great bang for your buck, and I can recommend this to anyone looking for a serious upgrade without locking themselves into a specific brand's ecosystem. If you have any questions, please post them below, do the whole like, share, subscribe thing on YouTube, and thank you all so much for watching. I'll now do a show and tell on some different tracks to hopefully give you a good idea of what this base is like to drive. Alright, so quick few laps around Spa against some AI so I can talk to you in real time about my experience with the Cammus direct drive wheelbase 15mm 2021, which is a horrible name for a product. The camera tends to overheat a lot, so I'm going to try and keep this as short as possible. So here on the straight, what you can see when I'm driving one-handed is there's a lot of vibration going through the wheel. And here at radio, it's loading up a lot, which is normal. That happens with all wheelbases as far as I'm aware. It loads up very strongly. You can definitely feel that the car is getting a lot of compression going through it, and there's heaps of grip. That's basically what it's telling you. Into Le Coin here, braking quite hard, going all the way onto the AstroTurf on the inside. You can feel how there's almost no grip on the green stuff, and plenty of grip on the curbs themselves. So that's all very nice. Trail braking into here. Again, the wheel is loading up, but it's also like vibrating a little bit. I don't know why it's doing the vibrating stuff, but it does kind of convey how much grip there is somehow, but it's not quite like what you'd expect from a race car, I guess. What I really struggle with here is spool. So again, trail braking into it and then getting on the throttle as early as possible. The wheel gets really heavy. It does the little vibration thing, but that doesn't tell me how much grip there is with these front tires. As you can see, when the car starts sliding, it's very quick to respond, you know. The latency is very little, so you can easily catch some oversteer. Unless if it's like very sudden snap oversteer, but it's a GT3 car. If a car like this oversteers in real life, chances are you're not going to catch it when it's like snap oversteer. But like lift-off stuff, and as we'll go through the chicane later on, the sort of oversteer that you induce yourself on purpose is quite easy to catch. I hope the AI does break into Blanchiment. I didn't expect that. But yeah, we'll go into the chicane. Let's dive bomb literally everyone. Okay, I got hit so bad. So as you get hit with a wheel like this, you better hope that your thumbs are not in some sort of weird position, because it will violently turn. And I can imagine if the wheel is like in a weird angle like this and it just snaps, that it will hurt your thumbs a lot. I've seen some horror pictures online about people's wrists, and yeah, no point in having the force feedback too high, because you'll just hurt yourself. And at a certain point, there's no detail anymore. It's just a lot of force that you're having to counteract. And really all I want from a wheelbase is detail. I want to know exactly what my car is doing when I'm going up here full throttle. And I could. That was felt perfectly normal. It felt fine, and I knew where to position the car and how to balance the car. And I guess the wheel in that respect does very well, especially at this price point. So with the camera overheating, I'm going to call it right here. If you want to see more videos like this, or like specific wheelbase with video game combinations, let me know in the comments. But thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.